Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be using the new e.l.f. Cosmetics Retro Paradise Eyeshadow Palette. From the moment I first saw pictures of this, I was immediately drawn to it, and I am so happy to have it in my collection and to test it out today. I really like the more neutral tones on the one side and the more colorful shades on the other. I think it's a nice mix, and it makes it more versatile for people who like neutrals, who like color, and I think it was just a really creative idea. So before we get into the eye look, we're going to start with some swatches, and this is my first time swatching this palette, so let's get started. Starting with the top row in Canvas. Next is Sandy Bum. Then we have Rise and Shine. Then Spiced. Next is Paraíso. This is a nice, somewhat duochrome-y shade. It's really pretty. Then we have Coconut. And here is the first row all swatched out. The mattes were a little bit harder to swatch. They were a little bit more sheer, but I found that to be the case with a lot of matte shades. And then that Rise and Shine shade is super pretty. So moving on to the next row, we have Dijon. And then we have Sea Salt. This was a bit chunkier, but it applied pretty nicely. Next we have Fuego. And this one did not swatch very good. It was super light. Next we have Sip Sip. This one is super pretty. I really like it. Then we have Baha Mar. Next is Tropicana. And there is the second row. Then for the final row, we have Caliente. Coco. And then we have Fortuna. Royal. Disco, which is another super pretty duochrome shade. And finally, we have Nightlife. So here are all of the shades swatched out. I think most of them did end up swatching pretty good, the shimmers especially. So I really enjoy this palette, and I am super excited to start playing around with this on my eyes. So let's get into that. First up, we're going to take Fuego on an e.l.f. brush, and this is going to go in my crease. So this one wasn't super pigmented to start off with, but it was pretty easy to build up and get a nice pigmentation. And I just worked this in the crease and blending it out. Next, I'm going to take Caliente on a smaller, fluffy brush, and I'm going to put this slightly deeper in my crease to help deepen it up and add some more depth there. And these two shadows did blend very nicely together. I found that the mattes were blending well, and it wasn't much work to blend them out. Next, on an e.l.f. eyeshadow brush, we're going to be taking Spiced, and I'm going to put this in my outer corner. Just start by packing it on there. Once again, just adding some depth to the look. And these shades are performing very nicely. They are not the most pigmented shades in the world, but I did find them pretty nice, and they do build up well, and I don't really have any complaints about them. So then I'm going to go back in with the brush that had the shade Caliente on it, run that through the crease just to help blend the Spice shade out, and then I'm going to go back in with the first brush and just help blend everything out. Next, I'm going to take Coconut, and this is going to go directly in the outer corner to add some depth. I don't want this to get too dark, so I'm only adding a little bit, and then I'm going to go back in and blend it out, starting with a little bit more of Spiced, then going in with the brush with Caliente, and then finally with the shade that had Fuego, the brush that had Fuego on it, just to make sure everything is nice and blended. Next, on my finger, I'm going to take Paraiso and pack this on the inner 2/3 of the lid. The shade was super pretty, but I wanted a little bit more impact, so I'm going to go in with Rise and Shine, and I ended up using my finger with this one as well, just to pack this on where Paraiso meets the outer corner matte shades, just to add a little bit more. Then I'm going to go back in with Spiced and pack a little bit more on the outer corner just to help blend the shades together. Then on my lower lash line, I'm taking Caliente and running that right along the lower lash line, followed by Fuego on the fluffier brush just to help blend it out. Finally, I am going to take Sea Salt on a small e.l.f. brush and pack this in my inner corner. This one was a little bit more sheer, but it looked pretty nice once you build it up. So here is the final look. I'm going to go add some liner and mascara, and I will be right back. So here is the completed look. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this look turned out. It's a nice, neutral, warm tone look, and the shades worked very nicely. There was very little fallout. The only shade that really had fallout was Sea Salt, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me. And yeah, I'm super happy with this look, and I'm excited to play around with some of the more colorful shades in my next look. So let's go to that one. First, I'm going to be taking Royal for the second look, and I'm going to start by drawing a line in my crease and winging this out to create a little bit of a cut crease look. And I'm being a little bit careful with this shade because I've used a few navy blues from my collection, and they're kind of difficult to work with and blend out. So after the initial line is drawn, I'm just going to slowly start blending it up with the same brush, just to get that process started of blending it out. And this might take a little bit, just slowly start working at it. Next, I'm going to take Tropicana on a fluffier angled brush, and I'm going to run this along the top of the crease to try and help blend this shade out even more. And Tropicana is a super pastel shade, so it was a little difficult to even see, but with some building and some blending, it did turn out pretty nice. So just work on blending this out. Like I said, navy blues are quite difficult to work with, to blend out, so this just takes a lot of patience. And just keep going in with the colors. I did go back and forth between the navy blue and the purple just to try and get that nice mix and that nice blended look. So once I had that where I wanted it, I am taking Disco, and I'm going to try this on a wet brush, but it wasn't as impactful as I would have liked. So I'm going to be taking my finger and packing this on there. And this turned out to be a lot nicer and a lot bolder, which is what I was going for. This shade is so pretty. You can see the slight shift in it. Next, I'm going to be taking Sip Sip also on my finger because that's just what I found works best with these shimmers. And I'm going to pack this on the inner half of my lid, tapping it to blend in with the Disco shade. And I really like what these two look like together. So here's what we are looking like so far. And I think I'm actually going to take Baha Mar, just do a little experiment and see what this one looks like in my inner corner. And I kind of like what this one looks like, so I think I'm going to take this same shade and drag it onto my lower lash line a bit, just to add in a little bit of green. I'm also going to take a little bit of Royal on the angled brush and run this along my lower lash line as well, and then go back in with the Baha Mar shade and connect the two and blend them together. So here is what the look is looking like. I actually am really happy with how this is turning out. I think it looks so pretty, especially those shimmers on the lid. So I'm going to go add some liner and mascara, and I will be back with my final thoughts on the palette. So here is what the final look looks like. I am super happy with how this one turned out. Let me know in the comments below which look you liked better. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe. Overall, I really liked how this palette performed. I used quite a few shades, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. The shimmers definitely apply best with a finger, and the mattes do blend pretty nicely. The only shade that I had a little bit of problems with was that navy blue, but I think I ended up blending out pretty nicely. So with that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!